Signing contracts with blood actually makes sense. A written signature can be forged or ambiguous, but the DNA test will always show whose signature it is. It may show whose blood, but not whose signature. Unless you do both. Like sign through your blood droplet. Two-factor verification with semen. Put the blood in a fountain pen and sign away. Crazy and interesting stuff. That's amazing. Since the DNA in his semen has now been replaced by his donors, does that mean that any children he has will biologically belong to the donor if they do a DNA test? Clearly you've never seen Gattaca. What happened in Gattaca? Phenomenal movie. All I remember from that is the doctor who was very fascinated by his penis. Not if the person forging your signature also dipped their quill in your freshly martyred body. It's not like you're gonna use your blood or signature anymore. Why let it go to waste? It is much easier to force someone this way. I mean, signatures are basically worthless these days. My signature looks completely different day to day with different angles, letters and swoops. All the things people say you can study I changed just because I never had a good signature and keep trying different things. My dumbass read it as singing a good few times. It's actually not a legal signature. Creed signed their original contract in blood but had to redo it as contracts need to be signed in blue or black ink. Can you dye blood? No, that's not true. Contracts don't need to be signed a particular way or even documented on paper to be legally binding. Obviously that helps with enforcement, but any mutual agreement between adults to exchange things of value is a legal contract. I'm an identical triplet and as such this is patently false. Imagine getting a recent corpse out of the graveyard and signing a letter with its blood. DNA breaks down pretty fast. There was a doctor who implanted a plastic tube of fake blood to avoid getting matched as a murder suspect. He got away with it for 10 years even though everything else about him lined up. When they again requested a DNA test, the DNA was too degraded to get conclusive results. The third test was administered by someone that wasn't him and luckily they didn't hit the tube he had inserted into his forearm and he was caught. Except it would be useless because blood dries and crumbles and then you have no signature after a certain amount of time. Maybe make ink with blood but that also could be a huge waste of blood and brain cells. But it works in Naruto because of anime logic. That's on skin. You can, in fact, stain paper with blood and it won't crumble. I've accidentally bled on some paper once and it stained the sheet. Well sir, that takes care of all the legal details. Now if you would just spunk all over the paper for me, we can get the ball rolling on this. That does seem more convenient than going to a notary. If it's just DNA doesn't have to be blood. Bloody fingerprint would prove both assuming you can prove that the owner is alive and retains all fingers. The only remaining issue is coercion. No, this is literally worse in every way. Stealing blood is easier than stealing muscle memory. Stealing blood isn't easy. Are you going to break into the hospital? They have security. Jab a syringe into their arm on the street? That's not only extremely obviously illegal, but highly suspicious. Identity theft is rampant specifically because it's easy as hell to forge a signature. And that's for one reason, there aren't handwriting checkers. I wrote my signature different every time for years and never once did anyone question it. It's not easy to ID someone by their blood. You need to wait for DNA test results. It's not really practical. You can't get DNA from the blood if those letters are not in the name. You can't get DNA from blood. The closest you can get is daub. I would sign my documents with DNA but I tried to do it at the DMV and the lady shot me with a taser right there at the counter. I did ask if I could at least go to the bathroom to put pen to paper as it were, but she was very insistent that I do it right there. Strange times.